Hi, this is Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. I'm gonna do kind of a check-in. I don't think I've really done one for a while, and also focus on the trauma bond and kind of where I'm with that as far as my check-in. So, right now I'm sitting at 11 and a half months since the end of the relationship with my ex-girlfriend, the covert narcissist, and it's been rough. There's been times that it's been easier and times that it's been more difficult. And kind of coming out of that has not been linear. But as far as the trauma bond goes, at this point in time, I'm kind of surprised because I'd say I'm like 99% of the way out. I do think about her occasionally, but I don't miss her. It's so I'll just kind of give an explanation of kind of where I've been at mentally over, like, say, the past month or so, and how that's kind of helped me move through the trauma bond and out. So for much of this year, I've focused not specifically on like narcissism in general, but a lot of it focused on the internal experience of the narcissist, how narcissists are created, kind of the typical childhood that a person has that later, where they later grew up to be narcissists. And after really getting a better understanding of that, I felt sympathy, and I don't know if I could say, like I've said before, I don't know if I could say sympathy for the adult narcissist, but certainly sympathy for the child that became the narcissist, because they never asked to experience that trauma, that neglect, abuse, etc. And, within that context, I kind of shifted my perspective towards my, my ex-girlfriend, in that I really stopped viewing her as a person with any real volition of her own, and that she was just basically this traumatized child who became an adult and just goes through the world reacting, just impulses, and just reacting to what's going around, reacting to internal voices, shame, paranoia, envy, fear of abandonment, etc. But there's really not an adult, as we would think of it, meaning, for me, a lot of being an adult is being responsible for yourself. And basically, hand in hand with that responsibility is the ability to make choices and decisions and say, okay, I want to go in this direction with my life, or I choose this career, or something like that. And to a large extent, based upon what I've read and what I've seen, narcissists don't operate to a large degree like that. I mean, so much of their life is just reacting to what's happening to them in that given moment, both externally and internally. And I know for myself, like in speaking with my when I was with my ex-girlfriend, I would talk about all my plans, and I'd say, okay, I want to be here in 5 years, and I want to have this life in 10 years, and I want to have this life in 20 years. Like, I had goals to strive and work for, and that was incomprehensible to her. She could maybe, peek ahead by 6 months with regard to her job, but outside of that, there was no future as far as her worldview. There was just like now and then the past, but there was never this future to strive for or make decisions and guide your life in that way. When she did make a decision, it was always because something prompted her, and so it was much more immediate than planning, than a situation where she would plan ahead. So, back to my perspective is that she really wasn't an adult, or I should say functioning as an adult in the same way normal people do. She was just, driven on instinct. I mean, like the old analogy that I've used is, if you have a puppy dog and that puppy dog is cute and nice, and a raccoon jumps the fence who's got rabies, bites the puppy dog, runs off, the puppy dog becomes rabid and starts biting everyone. But the thing is, the dog is not choosing to bite everyone it comes in contact with. It has rabies. But at the same time, you don't let the dog bite you. You're like, okay, that dog has rabies, and I'm going to keep it, on that side of the fence, or I'm going to take it to the vet and have them put it down or something like that. But you don't blame the dog for having rabies. And so, I mean, as weird as it sounds, that's how I view the narcissists in my life. They're still the ones carrying out these horrible, abusive things. And in that respect, they should be held accountable. But I don't, I don't view them the same as, say, someone who had a plan to do these things. I mean, for me, the narcissist, it's so much more spontaneous and just in reaction to what's going on. So, so it was easy for me to, in that respect, move away from viewing my ex-girlfriend as a human being, to be blunt, and more of this narcissist rabid dog that's just going through the world on instinct, foaming at the mouth, biting random people, but just like that, that's how they operate. And so for me, I'd say that got me maybe halfway there as far as like coming out of the trauma bond. For me, the other big half was, as time has gone on and even more of the narcissistic fog has lifted, and I've had a chance to talk with other people in our social circle that have kind of like said things that kind of, let me have some of these odd puzzle pieces fall into place. I realized that there was a lot of shady stuff that my ex-girlfriend was doing during the relationship that at the time I just had no idea. I mean, there was shady stuff that I suspected. That was definitely there. But in addition, there was just shady stuff that I didn't really connect the dots until maybe, some stuff like a week ago. And, realizing that, it's not like I got, really angry and stuff. It's like, at this point, it doesn't matter, as far as that. But it made me realize that, in spite of a lot of what I've said in my previous videos, I'm kind of doing like a full circle where I'm starting to have the perspective that for a lot of the relationship that I had with the narcissist, that it was a lie. It was just, and it wasn't like, like this overarching evil plan lie. What I mean is just like day-to-day stuff was going on. Like, I mean, I won't get into details, a little bit, too rated R for my channel. But, I mean, for example, like, texting lots of guys. I mean, that was something that I always suspected. But it's a little bit different when you kind of have that more confirmed. And so it's not necessarily something you suspect. It's like, okay, I'm pretty sure that was happening. And then you put that in the context of the, much of the relationship. And then, you can't draw any other conclusion than, my ex-girlfriend was being very duplicitous. And that she was presenting one, loving face to me, and behind my back, doing a lot of shady crap. And, once or at least for me, like once I had a couple of those things fall, into place, those puzzle pieces, and I realized that things were not what they seemed. At that point, it's like, it kind of begs the question, okay, what is the stuff that I'll never know about? What is the stuff that she did and was able to hide from me to the point that I never suspected and that it's not on my radar? What about the stuff that she was able to do and hide from her own social circle and friends? It just kind of blows up from there. And so, a lot of my perspective now is a combination of, okay, I've got this, this rabid dog who is just going through the world, reacting to everything around them. And then that's the thing. It's like, looking back on the relationship, I don't know if I can say where the line is between, okay, this is real and this is not. This is real and this was a mask, a lie. And because of that, it's made it much easier, ironically, for me to move through the whole trauma bond and come out to the extent I have, because it's like, I can't feel sad about a relationship that really, to a large extent, didn't exist. I mean, to a large extent, it existed in my head at that time, and now I'm learning that so much of it was just a lie. I don't miss that. I don't. If anything, I'm glad that I'm learning some glimpses of the truth of what was actually, going on during that time. So, yeah, I mean, short story long, that's just kind of where I'm at now, where I feel I'm like 99% of the way out of the trauma bond, because I, really stopped viewing the narcissist in my life as a person and just kind of this rabid dog. And also just, I can't get upset and feel bad that I, and miss a relationship now that I've realized that so much of it was just a lie. I mean, if anything, I'm just that much more happy with myself, and in that I'm out of the relationship, and that, every day is just more distance away from the relationship and away from her. And so, yeah, and like, I try to be honest. I did say 99%. I didn't say 100, because there were still good times in there. I mean, good memories, and kind of the way that I would, define those is that there are times during those relationships that I remember fondly, because I was there. Whether or not my ex was doing whatever, or felt or thinking whatever way, I don't care. I mean, for example, if I'm, having a moment with my ex and we're looking at the full moon and it's beautiful, the full moon's beautiful whether or not she's, thinking about, ice cream or something else or whatever. And so, I still have moments during the relationship that were sweet. But that said, I'm still glad to be out of it and farther away. So, as far as checking in with her probation officer, for a while I was doing that, I think, weekly. And at this point, I'm just so disgusted with how that was going that I just stopped. It was me putting in work and effort, and I was not seeing anything back in return. So it's just like, what's the point? The probation officers can deal with my ex, and whatever goes on there's fine. I mean, if something bonkers comes up, like she breaks probation, fails a drug test, or I don't know, something, they'll notify me. But outside of that, I don't know what's going on with that. So, as far as the dating scene and stuff, I'm out. As you've noticed with my previous, videos on dating, it's been incredibly frustrating, and I've met really cool, great people along the way. I would say, like, if I have to give percentages, like maybe 1 out of 4, 1 out of 10, somewhere in there. And the vast majority were horrible, with some of them just basically being human garbage. And I'm not I'm not exaggerating. Truly, truly horrible people. There are some bad ones out there. So I'm glad that while I was dating, I was able to meet some fantastic women, and I'm glad that I still have them in my life as friends. But I'm currently in a new relationship as of a week or two ago, and it's nice. It's nice to have that consistency, that stability, and it's still too early to say what will happen, where it will lead or anything like that. But who cares? It's nice, and it's so much nicer, in my opinion, than dating, and just hoping that the person that you meet at the club or the bar or the restaurant is not completely insane. So so I'll continue to make videos as reasons come up, Like I said before, I don't want to make videos on subjects that I've already talked about, which seems to be very popular with a lot of the narcissist channels. But yeah, if I come across like a new perspective or new information or something like that, I'll definitely make a new video and share that. So, thanks.